Hello friends and welcome to the Betrayal Stories channel. Today I'm going to tell you a story that has shaken me to the core. My husband cheated on me with our neighbor, and the most shocking thing is that I found out about everything from our children. This story will be full of emotions, unexpected twists and revelations. If you are ready to hear how betrayal can come from nowhere, stay with us until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the Betrayal Stories channel so that you don't miss new stories about infidelity and betrayal. My husband cheated on me with our neighbor, and I learned everything from the children. Hi, my name is Emma. I'm 36 years old, and for the last 14 years I've been married to a man I thought I knew inside and out, my husband Jake. We have two beautiful kids together, Olivia, who's 10, and Ethan, who's 7. We've built a life that many people would consider ideal: nice house, steady jobs, a close-knit family. But as you'll soon find out, appearances can be deceiving. We live in a quiet suburban neighborhood, the kind of place where you know all your neighbors by name and where everyone gets along. Among those neighbors was Sarah, who moved in about 2 years ago with her husband Kyle and their young daughter, Lily. Sarah was bright, outgoing, and quickly became close friends with us. Our kids played together all the time, and we often invited them over for barbecues, dinners, and movie nights. Little did I know, this seemingly perfect friendship would eventually unravel my world. It all started about a year ago when I began to notice some changes in Jake's behavior. He started coming home later than usual from work, claiming that there was an increased workload or meetings that ran late. At first, I didn't think much of it. He had a demanding job as a project manager, and it wasn't unusual for him to be stressed out at work. But then, other little things started to add up. Jake became more protective of his phone, constantly keeping it on him and facing the screen down whenever we were together. He seemed distant, both emotionally and physically. Intimacy between us became rare, and our conversations were mostly about the kids or mundane things around the house. One Saturday afternoon, I was preparing lunch in the kitchen while the kids were playing outside. Olivia and Ethan came rushing into the kitchen, out of breath and giggling, but also looking like they were hiding something. I could tell something was up. "Mom, can we ask you something?" Olivia asked, her voice suddenly more serious. "Of course, sweetheart." "What's on your mind?" I replied, drying my hands with a towel and kneeling down to their eye level. Olivia exchanged a glance with Ethan, as if silently deciding who would be the one to speak. "Why does Dad always hang out with Sarah when you're not home?" The question hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt my heart skip a beat, and suddenly it was hard to breathe. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, though inside I was already panicking. Ethan chimed in. "Well, sometimes when we come home early from school or from playing at the park, Dad is with Sarah. They talk a lot in the living room, and once I saw them laughing and sitting really close." Olivia nodded and added, "One time I saw them holding hands in the kitchen, but they stopped when they saw me." I felt like my world was crumbling around me, but I didn't want to let the kids see my fear or suspicion. I tried to stay calm and said, "Oh, honey, maybe they were just talking. Grown-ups do that sometimes." But deep down, I knew this was more than just friendly conversations. The nagging feeling I'd had for months suddenly made sense. There was something going on between Jake and Sarah, and it wasn't just a harmless friendship. That night I lay in bed, unable to sleep. Every word Olivia and Ethan had said played on a loop in my head. The hand-holding, the laughing, the secretive behavior, it all pointed to the same conclusion: my husband was having an affair. But I needed to know for sure. I couldn't confront him with just suspicions. I needed proof. The following week, I decided to take a personal day off from work without telling Jake. I arranged for the kids to stay at their grandparents' house for the day, and after dropping them off, I drove back home, parking down the street so Jake wouldn't see my car. My heart raced as I waited, watching the house from a distance. It didn't take long before I saw Sarah's car pull up in front of our house. She got out, glanced around as if checking to see if anyone was watching, and then walked straight to our front door. I crept closer, careful to stay out of sight. My hands were trembling, but I forced myself to stay calm. This was it. I needed to see for myself what was going on. Peering through the kitchen window, I saw Jake and Sarah sitting at the table. They were laughing, just like the kids had said, and then Jake reached over and placed his hand on hers. Sarah leaned in, and though I couldn't hear what they were saying, the look on their faces said everything. This wasn't just an innocent friendship. This was a full-blown affair. I felt a wave of nausea hit me. My legs felt weak, but I couldn't stop watching. I wanted to burst in and confront them right then and there, but I needed more than just a scene through the window. I needed to hear what they were saying. I grabbed my phone and began recording as I moved closer to the door. My hands shook as I pressed the phone against the gap in the door, straining to hear their voices. "I'm tired of sneaking around," Sarah said, her voice soft but filled with urgency. "I hate lying to Kyle, and I know Emma's starting to suspect something." "I know," Jake replied, looking down at their intertwined hands, "but I'm not ready to end things with her yet. I just need more time." More time for what? Sarah asked, sounding frustrated. "We've been doing this for months. When are you going to make a decision?" Jake sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know. I care about Emma, and I don't want to hurt the kids. But I don't want to lose you." I couldn't listen anymore. Tears blurred my vision as I quietly backed away from the door. This was it. The confirmation I'd been dreading, but also the one I needed to face the truth. My husband was cheating on me with our neighbor, and he wasn't even planning on ending it anytime soon. That evening, after Sarah left and the kids were asleep, I confronted Jake. I told him everything the kids had said and how I had taken the day off to see for myself. At first, he tried to deny it, but when I played the recording I had made, his face paled. "Emma, I'm so sorry," he stammered. "I never meant for it to go this far. It was a mistake. I love you, I love our family." "Stop," I interrupted, my voice shaking with anger and heartbreak. "You've been lying to me for months. You've been sneaking around with her in our home while our kids were here, Jake. How could you do this to us?" He didn't have an answer. He just sat there, his face in his hands, as I packed a bag and took the kids to my parents' house for the night. Over the next few weeks, I tried to figure out what to do next. I couldn't stay in a marriage where trust had been shattered so completely. Every time I looked at Jake, all I could see was betrayal. I couldn't bear the thought of pretending everything was okay for the sake of the kids, when deep down, I knew I could never forgive him for what he had done. Eventually, I filed for divorce. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the only one I could make to protect myself and my children from further pain. Jake tried to apologize, to make amends, but the damage was already done. Our marriage had been built on love and trust, and without that foundation, there was nothing left to salvage. As for Sarah and Kyle, I don't know what became of them. The last I heard, they had moved away not long after everything came out. I can only hope that whatever mess they created in their own marriage is something they're dealing with on their own. Looking back, I realize how much I learned from this experience. I learned the importance of listening to my instincts, of trusting my gut when something feels wrong. But more importantly, I learned that no matter how painful betrayal can be, I have the strength to move on, to rebuild, and to create a better life for myself and my kids. That's the story of how my husband's affair with our neighbor tore our family apart. But it's also the story of how I found the courage to start over. And if you're going through something similar, I want you to know that you're not alone. You will get through this, and you will come out stronger on the other side.